King Cinyras ruled Cyprus with pride, wealth, and arrogance. To his people, he was the man blessed by the gods. But behind that power, there was wrath. It began inside his own palace, with his own daughter, Myrrha. Myrrha was known across the island for her beauty. But beauty, in ancient times, wasn't a gift, it was a curse. When Myrrha refused to worship Aphrodite, the goddess turned her punishment into something far worse than death. She made her fall in love with her own father. A sick, uncontrollable desire that burned her from the inside. She fought it at first, prayed, begged for it to stop. But divine curses in Greek myths don't end with mercy. Myrrha's mind broke. One night, with the help of her old nurse, she entered her father's room in complete darkness. The king never asked who she was. For several nights, he slept with the same woman unaware she was his own daughter. But when the truth finally came out, when he lit the lamp and saw the face of his own blood in his bed, everything shattered. Cinyras' rage was beyond words. He drew his sword and ran after her through the palace corridors, shouting, cursing, his voice echoing through marble halls. Myrrha ran for her life barefoot, bleeding, carrying the weight of the most humiliating act any daughter could ever live through. King Minos of Crete ruled with arrogance and absolute belief in his divine favor. He claimed that his power came directly from the sea god Poseidon. To prove this, Minos prayed for a sign, a magnificent bull to rise from the sea. Poseidon granted the wish, sending a perfect white bull as a sacred symbol of divine approval. The agreement was simple: the bull was to be sacrificed to the god in gratitude. But when Minos saw the bull's beauty and strength, he refused to kill it. He kept it for himself, believing he deserved both power and the god's gift. That act of pride became his downfall. Poseidon's anger turned toward the king's own family. The punishment didn't strike Minos directly, it struck his wife, Pasiphae. The curse forced her into an unnatural obsession with the bull. Myths describe it as divine madness, a punishment so humiliating that it destroyed the royal bloodline's honor. Pasiphae, unable to resist the curse, gave birth to a creature neither human nor animal, the Minotaur, a monster that fed on human flesh. Minos hid the creature in a labyrinth beneath his palace, ordering it to be fed with Athenian captives every 9 years. What began as a punishment became a ritual of terror. His kingdom lived in fear, his name became associated with cruelty, and his daughter's curse became the proof of his betrayal to the gods. Minos' downfall came slowly. His greed for divine approval turned him into a ruler whose power depended on silence and sacrifice. Every scream from the labyrinth reminded the people of the sin their king refused to admit. In the end, Minos died without forgiveness, remembered not as a God-favored king, but as the man whose pride condemned his own family to monstrous suffering. King Danaus ruled with fear and obsession. His 50 daughters, known as the Danaides, were not treated as family but as political weapons. Each of them was forced into marriage with their cousins, the sons of Aegyptus, a rival bloodline. The unions were not about love or peace, they were a strategy to maintain control. But Danaus didn't trust his new sons-in-law. He believed the marriages were a trap to overthrow him. So he gave his daughters an order, an unthinkable one. On their wedding night, each was to murder her husband while he slept. No one questioned him. No one dared to refuse. The daughters obeyed. 49 of them carried out the command, stabbing their husbands to death before sunrise. The palace that was meant to celebrate union turned into a graveyard. Only one daughter, Hypermnestra, defied the king. She spared her husband, Lynceus, because he respected her wish to remain pure. When Danaus discovered her disobedience, he raged with fury and ordered her execution. Yet the people revolted, and Lynceus later killed Danaus, ending his reign soaked in the blood of his own family. According to Greek myth, the 49 obedient daughters were punished in the afterlife. They were condemned to the underworld, forced to fill bottomless jars with water for eternity, a punishment symbolizing endless guilt. Their obedience had saved them from their father's wrath, but not from eternal torment. Danaus became a symbol of power corrupted beyond recognition, a man who turned his children into killers just to keep his crown. In Greek history, his rule marked one of the earliest recorded acts of mass family destruction committed in the name of control. In the pursuit of power, no king in Greek history fell deeper into cruelty than Agamemnon, the ruler of Mycenae. When the Greek fleet prepared to sail for Troy, the winds refused to blow. Then came the oracle's words. Artemis demanded a royal sacrifice. Not gold, not slaves, but the blood of the king's own daughter, Iphigenia. Agamemnon didn't protest. He didn't pray for mercy. For him, the war was everything. His daughter's life was a small price to pay for eternal glory. So he sent word to his wife, Queen Clytemnestra, to bring Iphigenia to the camp, lying that she was to be married to the hero Achilles. The girl arrived full of joy, unaware of the trap her father had set. When the priests came forward, the deception ended. The wedding gown became a burial cloth. Soldiers turned their eyes away, ashamed yet obedient. They believed the gods demanded this. Iphigenia's name became a whisper, the girl who died so ships could sail. Some legends claim Artemis replaced her with a deer at the last second, sparing her life. Others say the knife fell and her blood opened the skies. But no matter which version one believes, the truth is darker. A father placed his ambition above his bloodline, proving that the greatest cruelty in ancient Greece didn't come from war, it came from within the family. That act cursed the house of Agamemnon forever. His wife would later kill him in revenge, and their son would drown the family in more blood. Power had been won, but it came chained to guilt, madness, and death. In the end, the Greek king who sacrificed his daughter gained not victory, only a crown haunted by her name. When Athens went to war with the Eleusinians, defeat was certain. The enemy outnumbered them, morale was collapsing, and the city faced complete destruction. King Erechtheus turned to the oracle for guidance, and the answer was merciless: the gods would only grant victory if he sacrificed his own daughter. There was no hesitation. Erechtheus accepted the prophecy as law. Power and divine favor mattered more than blood. His daughter was not seen as family, she was a tool for survival. The order was given. The priests prepared the altar. The royal guards carried her forward while the city waited for a sign from the heavens. She was killed as an offering to Athena. There was no miracle, no divine voice, only silence, but to the Athenians, silence meant approval. The army soon marched, fought with renewed fury, and won. Athens was saved. The people praised Erechtheus as a chosen ruler, a king who would do anything to protect his land. But the truth was darker. The same gods he tried to please turned against him. Poseidon, angered by the killing, struck Erechtheus down with his trident. His body was destroyed, his name erased from royal honor, and his bloodline ended. His story became a warning that in Greece, the pursuit of power often demanded the destruction of what was most sacred. Erechtheus didn't lose to his enemies. He lost to the very gods he tried to satisfy.